I'm Marty Sakata, founder of Resilient Alpha. Why do some funds and managers crush it and others crash? We're cracking that code, redefining alpha, and bringing top brains to unpack asset classes and hot alpha ideas. We're going full throttle. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. As founder and former CEO of the Soriano Group, he spearheads Soriano Motors AG and Soriano Motors SA, the iconic vintage European motorcycle brand established in 1939, which under his leadership has pioneered high-performance electric motorcycles, blending artisanal craftsmanship with cutting-edge engineering. In 2025, Soriano forged a landmark joint venture with Gyre 9, launching Soriano 9 to revolutionize U.S. EV prototyping and infrastructure from a state-of-the-art 40,000 square foot facility in Southbury, Connecticut. Marco continues to drive economic empowerment through advisory roles. The content here is for informational purposes only, should not be taken as legal, business, tax, or investment advice, or be used to evaluate any investment or security, and is not directed at any investors or potential investors in any featured fund or deals on this video.
All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Resilient Alpha. We're thrilled to have Marco Soriano, fourth generation of the conglomerate Soriano Group and a founder and innovator in his own right. So we're going to jump right into it because in this episode, we're going to talk about origins, where we're going, and what Resilient Alpha means to you, Marco. And then we will have time for some lightning round questions. So get ready because you won't know what's coming at you. So let's get started and I guess give everybody here, and I know because we're friends, but tell us about your family, the Soriano family, and how you got from where you were to being fourth generation innovator and founder.
Well, I'm going to start by saying that as of today, the Soriano family, which is the fourth generation, moving on to the fifth generation, it's composed of 13 kids that range from the age of 16 all the way down to 2. So we're working already, training them to learn about the businesses and understand their interests and fears as well, so that they can go on to the next stages. The Soriano family, as a first generation, goes back to the early mid 1800s. As far as the records go, with my great grandfather having been a big political figure as well as an inventor in several industries, including the optimization and the automation of mobility, transportation in general speaking. So great example set for us. And today, I think that's part of the motivation. But again, I think I see towards the future and not so much the past.
Yeah, I mean, I think if everybody out there can imagine, close your eyes for a minute, and I know this is going to date ourselves going back, but Scrooge McDuck swimming through that pile of money. And I think to use a football reference, it's Vince Lombardi said the man at the mountain didn't fall there. And certainly you have in your own right started to build your own legacy here in the States. So I guess I'd like to talk a little bit about how you shifted from your family's origins to what you're currently doing. And we will talk a little bit after that about industry acronyms, but electronic vehicle motorbike. So how did that pivot come, and where does that have roots in your legacy?
Pivot. It reminds me of Friends. Pivot. Listen, I have always been very entrepreneurial, and I look at myself in the mirror and try to figure out why am I doing this today, when I had been working in banks and had a stable, nice, secure job. But an entrepreneur in me never stopped. I remember back in college, even before that, having been such a good student.
Yes.
And when your friends, they come to you and like, hey, can you help me out? Or they want to cheat off of you in the exams.
Yes. And you're like, yes? Or were you like, no?
Now that was a yes if you buy the hamburger and the Coca-Cola later on. So it became a transaction. It wasn't always like, here, copy and have a nice day.
Always transaction.
So very entrepreneurial from that mode. And I love sketching as an artist would. remember drawing like cartoons, and these are just fun stories.
Yes.
And the Ninja Turtles was such a big thing in my
Now you're dating ourselves again. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
and I
Turtle
used to
power.
be such a good sketcher that my friends wanted it, my drawings, and I said, you can have it, but not just for free, man, because I got to pay at least for my pencils. So I don't know, the entrepreneur was always in me, and I guess that led into becoming what I am today as an alpha leader with standards for excellence. I mean,
Right.
that's really my quote as of today.
And I will, before we touch on that a little bit, share a little bit about your background, because I don't want people to look at your attire and misjudge you. You have a very strong intellectual background and a strong working background.
This is just a fashion statement, people. This is not, I'm wearing my friend's Christopher Bates
Always promoting
shirt.
transaction.
He's a fashion guy in Milan. He's a good friend of mine from Canada. And I told him I would wear his shirt, although I paid for it. My background, so I went to NYU. I went to Xavier here in
It's a private school here in
a
Manhattan.
private school in Manhattan, where I was beat up by nuns and priests my whole life. And then I moved on to the NYU, where I did a bachelor's in arts and sciences, going towards the route of medicine. I found out that it wasn't my call. My vocation was really towards business,
Right.
entrepreneurship, and then I did an MBA at NYU Stern as well, where I became a professor eventually, and what they call today is an executive in residence,
Right.
which I teach workshops there from time to time. It's I'm 45 years of age, going back. My education has been all in New York. I travel the world often, and having worked for Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch,
Right.
and the World Bank. Today, I'm the leader of my family office corporation.
Yeah. And I remember Marco and I were walking back from an event together, and we were both actually, what do people talk about in our industry as executives on walks back to Grand Central? And we were talking about being math nerds, both working at Goldman and all of those things. So now I do want to get into the premise behind the electric vehicle motorbikes and the opportunities therein. So here I'll differentiate a little bit what's going on in Europe for those of you listening from abroad, where ESG, this notion of environmental, social, and governance, has strong foundations and is really still thriving. And here in the States, there's been a lot of backlash. What does it mean? It's kind of vague. Is it environment? Is it social? Is it governance? Can you be all of the things or just one of the things? And here I will quote one of your favorites, Leonardo da Vinci, because of the Italian roots. Once you have tasted flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward. Here, I understand that philosophically, but you're turned on the ground with a lot of RPMs.
Yeah.
So talk about that and some of the opportunities you see there. Why EV motorbikes?
So the whole transportation system coming from the family who pioneered the industry. People talk about the T model.
Right.
That was Ford's legacy. The Soriano legacy was basically endothermic engines at that time, not just for public transportation, but also for racing. So we were among the first 8 families pioneering racing tracks,
Wow.
racing cars, and everything that comes with this. As of today, that's what we call Formula One. And there's also the derivation of that, derivative of that, which would be NASCAR.
Okay.
So with that in mind, and looking forward, understanding that algorithmically we're growing as a population, meaning more cars, more transportation will be needed. Essentially, that creates issues to the environment. Whether you're
Definitely.
an environmentalist or you're not, the truth is we are killing our planet. So in my thesis and philosophy to invest, it's always important to understand that we're building for the future, which is not necessarily ours anymore, but our legacy, our children, that generation coming after. So I look at investments from all these perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
So it isn't just driven by passion or legacy tradition, but by innovation and really with big scope and the objective that whatever we do have consequences. And if those consequences are accountable, then you definitely are an alpha resilient person.
Interesting. So alpha resilient, define what that means to you.
So to be a leader today could mean so many different things, because
Right.
leadership roles have different skill sets and so on. And the way I'm looking at it is by what I call standards for excellence.
Okay.
Being accountable, responsible for your decisions,
Mhm.
lead your people into a better world. I notice a huge disparity in humanity where there's people that want to ascend and become better and,
Right.
and so forth. And there's this whole wellness programs that have hugely grown. And then there's people that just don't care.
Right.
And I think that gap that you see is creating these two
Disparity,
community disparities that it's a perfect example of why we still have the issues that we have today, considering that technology has given us all the information that we need. We're still fighting, we still have wars, we still have political figures out there representing us in the wrong ways. And what's the rule of thumb? Don't talk politics, don't talk religion, don't talk race, don't talk color, which that should not be a problem.
Right. We kind of can address all of those things in a nice way. I mean, I'll throw out some statistics there for everybody who's listening, because I think you're spot on to something with intergenerational transfer and wellness and this need that's out there. It's $124 trillion is changing hands between now and 2048 from older generations to younger, and the demographics are shifting as well. So 56 trillion is going to younger cohorts, Gen X and millennials, and the investing trends are not even trends; it's paradigm shifts that we're focusing on. These are changes that are going to remain. Is not the generation before where it was very spot on. Here's your stocks, here's your bonds. Ring a bell when you sell a penny stock. It's very impact focused. It's very thoughtful, and like you said, it's focused on legacy. So I think what you're doing is a way to really merge innovation with impact, with kind of this notion that next generation, third generation, fourth generation, the moniker boys with their toys, but it really is a way to invest in luxury in a way that actually helps the world. So that's really interesting. I will depart from the script a little bit, and I know there are certain things that are supposed to be taboo that we're not supposed to talk about, but we both have kiddos. So we're talking about legacy. I'm really interested because I think about, my two daughters and how much the legacy and my focus on wellness and legacy investments, and even being here today on Marty's great Resilient Alpha podcast is a reflection of what I want to do for the future. How do your children influence your legacy?
They're my core system. They're my motivation. And again, when you're doing something, you're doing it for yourself. Right. Number one. If you're the one person that is talking out there, I'm doing this for my kids, that shouldn't be your motivation. Number one, that's your core system. How you motivate yourself is doing it for yourself, because otherwise you're not going to be able to be successful for yourself, and so should anything happen the wrong way, then you're going to blame others rather than blaming yourself for not doing the job the right way.
Yep.
With the children, I think, and this has been a discussion with what we call emotional intelligence, being aware when you're making mistakes. For example, and I give you an example personally, with my own wife, sometimes when I'm working too much, I tend to raise my voice, which I shouldn't, and that's a mistake that we all make at home sometimes. Right. But when you apologize after the fact, you shouldn't just apologize to your wife, you should apologize to the family, because the children are perceiving this.
Right.
And if we're talking here legacy, it isn't just about money.
Right.
This is about core values, tradition, and that comes from mutual respect all across the board. And that translates to your business, because the way you treat your family is the way you're going to treat your employees and anybody who's going to be part of that inner circle in your life as you move forward.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And I actually think when folks go into their financial advisors or wherever they go, when they make a lot of money, they're being asked, the industry has it wrong. Banks have it backwards. They're being asked, what are your investment objectives? When really the question should be, what is your value system? What is the legacy? And children should be brought in younger, and they should be taught these values younger. So I think that the fact that you're espousing that and encouraging that in your family, you're living the legacy you want to leave. Start building it now, not after you've gone.
Correct.
I think it's important to put on our investment hats now and think about with what you're building, how this fits into the picture of investments, right? So it's interesting. I was doing a podcast several months ago, and it was on a day when there were big tariff announcements. And who knew if that was going to remain or be ephemeral? And it seems to still be ongoing. And I think there's this view, of course, that the markets are going to be volatile. Volatility is probably one of the new paradigm shifts. So how can we translate what you're building, this EV motorbike empire that you're successfully building here? You've shifted it from Italian operations to building it in the States, and how that reflects uncorrelated investments and the opportunity.
First off, we've always had crises. This is not the first time in my family. I'm going to use the word endurance, because you have to endure during hard times and adapt. So having adaptability and flexibility during hard times is the most important part of any strategy. If you're too big and you cannot move and you cannot be adapted or adapt to new technologies, new places, new languages, new cultures, you're dead in the water. In our case, with the current administration and the tariffs, trade wars, we were just about to start the production in Italy for the United States as a primary market, and that wasn't going to work. The tariffs and the trade, the forex rate exchange was just going to kill us. So I instinctively, and this is part of being entrepreneurial, came to the US back again in April, and I made a joint venture with a large advanced manufacturing plant out of Connecticut, Connecticut, US. And now we're happy to announce officially that we'll be doing the production in the US for the US.
Amazing.
And, it worked out. But again, it's about being able to adapt and be flexible when the time calls for it. And now we endure through World War I, World War II, Great Depression times.
Wait, so your family actually manufactured during World War II?
Absolutely. We did it in France, we did it in Spain, we did it in Switzerland, and now we're doing it in Italy and the United States. So this continues. And it's the endurance, and that's what defines an alpha leadership, and to be resilient, to be strong during these times. It feels at times that what they're saying, God is choking you, but he's not going to kill you.
Interesting. Yes.
How you feel, but keep enduring and keep happening and pushing through it. And essentially, you'll breathe the fresh air at the end of the day. And that's what I enjoy the most as an entrepreneur.
That's it. That's incredible. I mean, so wait, I'm just trying to unpack what you said. So you're taking what was manufactured.
So much.
I know. It's a lot to say. So much emotion. But it was manufactured in Italy. You brought it to the state of Connecticut. And now everything's going to be manufactured and produced locally. So thereby escaping all of the tariffs. So you're tariff-proof, tariff-resistant?
Tariff-proofed for the U.S. because we will be making our
made in the U.S.
assembling in the United States. But everything the work that we've done that starts from designing to engineering to testing to homologation. It's already been done in Europe and Italy. That's pretty much good for the whole world.
Sure.
Whether I wanted to come to the US or go to another country, well, that was up to me. I chose the US because being from here as well made sense.
Sure.
In Connecticut, it's really around the corner from my house in Long Island, so I'm home.
That's true. That is closer. So I know you and I have gone to visit some really high-end car dealerships. I remember one time we were at Ferrari together. Marco walks in and they all know him well and give him hugs and espressos and everything. But I know why I bring that up is your standards are very, very high. So now we're thinking about alpha means change and innovation in difficult times. Some people sink or fight or flight. Some people fly, and you really think about your background and how it applies now and how you can innovate really quickly and smartly, which is very cool. But also that your standards are very high. So you're not doing it subpar or rushing to do it. You take your time pragmatically. So can you talk a little bit about, quality and some of your other standards and philosophical pillars?
Yeah. So what you're touching based on is inspiration.
Yes.
What inspires me? I'm inspired by beauty. I'm inspired by order. I'm inspired by innovation.
Okay.
So whenever I see something, I'm always thinking, how can I make it better? How can I make it prettier? How can I make it more cost effective? Who will be the people that will work with me? I'm analyzing. If you ever go out to dinner with me or at lunch, I'm counting people, tables, chairs. Everything.
It's the math nerd in him, I swear.
I'm like, like the Rain Man guy.
Yes, exactly. Well,
but I'm thinking from a beauty perspective, aesthetically. If there's no beauty in front of you, it's so hard to be inspired.
Right.
To do something better. And that's the case in a lot of countries in the world, that they don't have an infrastructure that is pretty. And it's hard to try and do business there because you're not inspired to do so.
Right.
When you go to a country like Italy, that's probably one of your top 3 countries in the world. There's a reason.
Right.
This is the architecture, the culture, the language, the food, the fashion, the cars, myself. All of these beautiful things just drive you to invest.
Did you just give yourself a compliment?
I may as well, because I'm not hearing anything from you.
I reserve my compliments for when they're warranted, Marco. You know that.
But the inspiration is driven from there, and then it becomes, part of your heart. When you put your heart, your soul, and you're inspired by all these elements, guarantee that you're going to feel successful nonetheless, and that you're going to bring to the world something great.
Yes, I agree. I mean, it reminds me, I was in Italy, and I was in the museum for all Michelangelo's sculptures, and Michelangelo very much saw the clay block, but then he saw inside where the inherent beauty was that nobody else could see. I'm not calling you Michelangelo and that brilliance of an artist, but I do see some parallels there. So I guess
I got one compliment so far. That's good.
I was a mezzo compliment. So I guess where is this, from where you are now, which is, a successful manufacturing company as part of this large family conglomerate, where's the future? Where's this going?
Well, listen, the future, the way I see it, and this is what my greatest creation, regardless of all the things that I have created so far, are always going to be my children.
Yes.
And I got 4 of them, and 4 of them that are completely different from each other. The future is what I'm teaching them that they're capable to do, which is unlimited. You need to teach kids that they can do whatever they want, but that it takes hard work, dedication, education, respect for others. They are core values. And if you're not home, if you're not spending the time with them, if you're not giving them, if your life is just about work, forget it. There's no legacy. Don't even talk about it, because that's not going to happen in your life. The legacy starts from home, the way you raise these kids.
Yep.
And that's my future. Whatever comes to mind, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm building this lifestyle company where I am 5 years ago when I started this company.
Yes.
And I said, hey, I'm going to make a motorcycle. And then I said, I'm going to make a fashion company. And then I'm going to buy a telecom company. And then I'm going to buy a restaurant, a hotel. And people were like, you're mad. You're crazy. How are you going to handle this? Well, today is a reality.
It is.
It's all
incredible.
here. And people that were talking back then that way are hugging me, kissing me, and asking for things.
Asking to go to the hotels and ride the bikes.
Can I have a meal with you? I'm like, sure. Well, it happens. It so happens that 9 out of 10 people that you will meet in your life will always be those kinds of people.
Right.
So you got to surround by the people that have the light, that want to ascend.
That's right.
And just get away from those. That's what I do.
Yeah, it's interesting. You brought up this notion that quality isn't just like a standard that you can hold yourself to and then pick the right service providers and vendors to work with, but quality also means quality time with your kids. I completely believe that. I was swimming with my 8-year-old and I was her play date all day and I turned into a prune. I was in the quality time so much. But yes. So I think we'll do the lightning round in a bit, but first we'll do a chin chin, and we'll
done that before.
Never done that before on a podcast, but Resilient Alpha does it. So we'll launch into the lightning round questions. So let's get right into it. We're back here on Resilient Alpha with Marco. And now we're going to get into, the whole interview has been very fun and light, but now we're going to get into some really fun lightning round questions. So let's start with some hobbies of yours that people might not expect?
Oh, very few people, especially in my inner circle, know that I'm a serious musician. I'm
Yes.
a guitarist. I'm a singer. I have a little rock band. I've got groupies.
What's the name of the band?
The groupies are about my age, so it's not cute anymore. The band was called Pangea back in the day, and today I just call it, the Marco Band, whatever.
The Marco Garage Band.
But the group is still come around, and that's always fun.
Okay. Well, yes, as I know, because I have been karaokeing with you, that you do have quite a singing voice. Why don't you sing us a couple of notes?
Right now?
Right now. Sing it for everybody. Let everybody.
Let me see. Con te partirò, paesi che non ho mai veduto e vissuto con te. That's it.
All right, that's it. No more. No
You
more.
gotta pay for this.
You're gonna have people throwing things on the on the stage
I
here.
stepped out there. Yeah, they're pants.
Will you say? Well, stop it, Marco. Okay, next.
Sorry.
Next
Now
question.
pants.
Let's investments. Throwing
Your
investments. Throw your investments.
Your crypto.
Okay. So, outside of EV motorbikes? What are you investing in? Talk about investments.
Well, motorcycles, anything within transportation, honestly.
Okay.
All right. So anything that moves with wheels. I've designed a new car that I love to put in the market in the next 4 years. Bicycles I have in the market. I want to do an ATV. I'm even thinking about a helicopter, something along those lines.
Nice.
Things that fly, move. And I imagine not a space rocket like Elon Musk did, but that's really.
We're not going to space just yet.
Yeah, but if we want somebody to go to Mars, I already got the permission from my wife.
The rover, you can go to Mars.
I'll go to Mars.
The whole men are from Mars thing. Yes, I got that. I was just in a helicopter. Definitely, we could use a Soriano helicopter. They're fun. They're fun.
It's doable.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about giving back. I mean, clearly, the more one has, the more one can give back. What you went to private school. My private school was not for self, but for service. So talk about philanthropy and what it means to you.
All right. So ultimately, I definitely have embraced philanthropy in a big part. Why? Because within our businesses, a lot of the women that work with us, 3 of them had breast cancer.
Okay.
So I've organized polo events and different sports events where we raise capital for cancer research, specifically for women. So we work with the Komen Foundation, which is a well-known European foundation at this moment. And then the other foundation that we started working with was it's called Operation Smile. Mm-hmm. And it's basically to help children with cleft get a smile. So we help them obtain smiles. And that's definitely something that it's very rewarding to me personally.
That's amazing. Philanthropy is incredibly important. So I think that's great to hear how you're involved. Let's talk to those in Silicon Valley that want to hear what your views are and how you're embracing AI and technologies and taking over everything, or how are you integrating?
No,
we're not going to become robots. Are we robots?
No, we're not in Japan. Forget it. Silicon Valley people, it doesn't matter what machines you're using, how advanced they are. People will always need to man these things. And if you do not have what it really counts to have interaction with people, relationships, and know how to handle these relationships, it will never be successful. All right. AI can help a lot, and it is.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean that it's making you smarter. It's just making you faster. And faster doesn't mean you're smarter. Smart comes with wisdom, and wisdom comes over time. So slow down a little bit and rethink what you're doing, because essentially, if you move too fast, you will never pay attention to the details of life. And that's the key to being human. And we are humans. So
I think that was a Ferris Bueller quote, like, if you move too fast, you'll miss it, or something like that. I don't know. But I agree. I think I describe AI as ratatouille. I've heard it described that way, as the rats under the hat that helps steer the genius, right? It's not going to replace it, but it helps steer it. Okay, so let's see. Tell us, to wrap up here, tell us three of your favorites. So let's go favorite Italian director movie, favorite American director movie, favorite song.
Okay. Italian, I like Tornatore. I'm working with Andrea Castaldi. Right now, we're making a film. We're actually in the film.
Amazing.
Yeah, we invested in Sounds of Freedom with Jim Caviezel.
Right.
Which it's an awareness to human trafficking, children trafficking, very close to me. Met Jim, great guy. And the movie that we're making now is called Vitamin, which is a film where small towns in Europe that are being abandoned are in need of capital injections in order to globally attract tourism, and that helps them. American directors these days, it's an array of them. I like the guys who use the, Michael Bay, for example, likes to explode things all the time. I wish I could do that, So
I don't know.
For Michael.
Explode things.
Yeah.
Explode some stuff.
James Cameron is another one that is pretty good. My favorite actors, too bad that he's not with us anymore, Robin Williams. I used to love
Good
him.
Will Hunting.
Yeah,
great movie.
That movie, but his sense of humor was just amazing. Don Rickles, if I go back in time a little bit, because that guy was also funny. And then the last question was in terms of
favorite song.
I love music. I just love music in different languages. I love Einaudi, Ludovico Einaudi right now is my favorite pianist composer.
Amazing.
And I find a lot of inspiration in his music for a lot of things that I do these days.
So let's say when you were walking over here, what was playing on your...
No, I was listening to 80s rock. I'm still stuck in the 80s rock and roll, and I voice it out. And sometimes people look at me like, what the hell is he talking
It's
about?
one of those people
singing, what language is that? And I'm just going, it's okay.
All right, last question. Give us 3 words that you think that you want to represent your legacy and who you are as of this current moment. Then we can do another podcast in like 6 months or 2 years and see how they change.
Yeah. Listen, start with traditions. More, that fabric that we all need. Have it, build it, learn it, because it's your core system. Right. So tradition, then it moves on to innovation. Means be fast, adapt, flexible to technologies. Don't become one of those companies that will be replaced because they didn't have a payment system in place, or a tap system for credit cards, or an NFC system on your phone to take payments. You need to be quick on that, on your feet. And ultimately, excellence. Excellence, it's a big word, but excellence in everything that you do it with your heart, and do it to really bring about great product, a great service. Don't think cheap, because if that's your approach, cheap dies. Yeah.
So tradition, innovation, and excellence. You heard it here. The other underlying word that I see and that you exude is passion and energy. We all should have a Marco on our team, but he would definitely be the team leader.
Called the Soriano factor.
The Soriano factor. Look it up. All right. Well, this has been great, my friend. And we look forward to being back here on Resilience Alpha. Tune into the next episode, and always come to Marty's great Ivy Fawn conferences where we both speak. So come see us there too. All right. Until next time, everybody. Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.